Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV.
Five-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.
You have to do your work first. You have to research, you have to study, you have to take courses, you have to believe in yourself, and you really have to fight hard. I see concerns, but I also see that as professionals like you and I in the industry, in this space, we need to help people and society by creating policies, frameworks, and guidelines, not only for organization, but for people, because this is going to be, AI is everywhere.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Follow the Brand Podcast. I'm your host, Grant McGaugh, and I am here talking to what I want to see more of, and that's a young professional, someone who's involved in technology. She's had just been wonderful what she's been able to do. She's going after a PhD now, and she got a 4.0 like perfect score in her previous college, which we're going to talk about. And I want to see more people participate. We're going to demystify some things in the cybersecurity realm and artificial intelligence. I happened to actually meet her at a AI forum that we were talking about legal ramifications and the ethics in AI and how this is all going to move forward, talking about compliance, talking about regulation. And here she is. And I said, hey, I want you on the show because you represent a part of our demographic society that needs to be more involved in our technology platforms, because this is the way going forward, doing more and more interactions, whether it's business or personal as well as professional. So I'd like you to introduce yourself to me, if you don't mind.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for everything you just said. I love it. Well, my name is Felicita Sandoval. You can call me Fifi, but I am a GRC analyst, a security GRC analyst at LightRamp. And what I do is a risk, governance, risk compliance. So that's what I do. And it's in the realm of cybersecurity. And well, I didn't start in technology. Before I started working in cybersecurity, I just started in finance. I was a teller at a bank. I was 19 years old. And I moved up to a personal banker. And then after 7 years in the financial institutions, I had decided that I wanted to become an investigator. And I started working for the government as a fraud investigator, and also for a few banks as an anti-money laundering analyst. And that was fun, but my end goal was to be an information security auditor. Because at that time, we didn't call it cybersecurity, it was just information security auditor. And then cybersecurity kind of came along, that word, and everybody was talking about it. And it was the craze. But you make a few good points. When at that time, I was a little bit afraid because I am a woman, and I thought about it, like, I'm a woman of color, Hispanic. So I thought, I don't think I have a chance. I didn't really know any women in cybersecurity, let alone a woman of color. So it took a lot of courage for me to say, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to the master program. I was taking my master's, so I'm going to get my master's in cybersecurity at that time, and I'm going to make it. I'll make my own opportunities if I have to. And that's what I did. I finally was able then to become a cybersecurity analyst, GRC at LightRamp, after I got my master's degree. And now I'm in my doctorate program. So,
well, you make it sound so simple, and I know it wasn't, because the first I like to say, I'm impressed with your educational background and your attainment and understanding of all these principles. I think what intimidates certain people is they're like, wow, I need to have all this experience in mathematics, or I need to be adept in science and all this real techie stuff. And I'm just, oh my God, there's no way I'm going to be able to pass and become a cybersecurity professional. Just help us demystify some of these things and help us understand what you learned as you went through your program.
Well, you're completely right. At the beginning, even I thought, before I contemplated on getting in, I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it, because I am, in my head, I was like, I'm not good at math. I'm not good at science. I am not going to be able to be a part with all the intelligent people in that community. But it was the opposite. I think that as you get more mature, you start realizing that you have a lot of potential. You just have to be confident in yourself. But it is a hard road. It is hard. And you have to, I always call it, you have to meet organizations in the middle if you want to get into cybersecurity or in the tech industry, and actually any industry. You have to do your work first. You have to research, you have to study, you have to take courses, you have to believe in yourself, and you really have to fight hard, especially if you're a person of color, different religion, or different race. So it is very important to work hard for that. And then networking too is very important, to communicate with people. But after you go through all the obstacles and learning lessons and teaching yourself, as well as going to school, because school is only one resource. You really need many resources to make it. And that's what I did. I went to school, but I also networked. I also took my own courses online. I also researched, and that's how I was able to make it. But you could just feel confident, and don't think that because you don't know, or you were not good at a subject like math, that you're not going to be able to make it. That's just going to take you back, and it's going to prevent you from actually going towards your goals.
Oh, man, well stated, well stated. So we've got to get involved, because anybody brings a wealth of experiences to the table. Your background, your understanding, your intellect is what is needed in the tech space. And now that we're morphing with what we call artificial intelligence. So what I coined this, I've been in information technology for 20, 25 years. Now we're doing what I would call intelligent technology. Information technology is almost like very reactive, it's very reactive. Whereas intelligent technology is very proactive. It's engaging you, your human intellect. That's intelligent technology. And that leads to insights. So we look at those three I's. And we were both, again, at that particular forum. And what I liked about it is that it started to really look at that our laws and some of the things we have in society, our pillars of how we do things are starting to change and morph into something completely different. Even when we talk about finance, we talk about operations, and we talk about how we get things done, that technological layer is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. Talk to me more about what you're understanding. What are you seeing in the landscape in the future as you move forward?
It is being integrated. AI is being integrated in every part of society. Organizations, at home, in our education, and I see a lot of good things going that are going to happen, and also concerns. So the good things are going to be that we're going to have, if we're going to talk about companies, you're going to have automation, you're going to have time, you're going to be able to save time by using some of these tools that are going to, that you're able to use that time to create more products, to actually have more money revenue in order for you to actually hire more people. But also the concerns are, any vulnerabilities that are gonna be acquired by using these AI technologies, the data that we're going to be acquiring, like big data. So you're gonna have large scales of data, and that also is brings vulnerability. And I tie that down to society because, when you're signing up on a website, or when you're actually want to have access to these tools, like I'm just going to mention ChatGPT because it's the most famous one, you are giving your data away. So now I'll take that back to what I said home, where if I'm here and I'm like, I'm going to use ChatGPT to help me create a presentation, I'm putting all this personal information there. And so that also brings issues, because you have to think, as a professional, you have to think, is my data being stored? Where is it stored? Who is this going to be shared with? But then as a regular person, nothing to do with work, you let that happen because you're not thinking about it. Like, for example, my mom is not going to think about none of those questions. She's just going to use it, create her little TikTok presentation there, right? And she just gave a bunch of her information. So I see concerns, but I also see that as professionals like you and I in the industry, in this space, we need to help people and society by creating policies, frameworks, and guidelines, not only for organization, but for people, because this is going to be, AI is everywhere.
A lot of you probably don't know this because it's kind of a new thing, but in the future, near future, everyone will be able to tell their story. Will have what's called a story file, and future generations will be able to ask you questions and talk to you and get to know you through this. You have a story to tell. You have wisdom. If you've lived on this planet for any given amount of time, you have a story to tell. You have a journey, and anyone can learn anything from that journey. But more than that, just recording and putting out there and preserving your life is truly a gift.
I would say first and foremost, it's really important to sort of be true to yourself and really understanding that not all careers have to be linear. And regardless of where you start, you see that as an entry point. So maybe your entry point is graphic design, and graphic design may eventually turn into more visual or experience design. It is visual design, but you can really look at all of these different experiences as not apart from the other. So basically, your entry point is just how you started, and then you want to sort of fill your total experience with different things that you're interested in. So
I'll go back to the part of what I was told. I was told that I wasn't good enough to go to college. So I would go back and say, don't listen to people that put limits and labels on me. Mm-hmm. Because there's something that a really smart guy taught me once. His name is Chaz Hartwig. I love Chaz. And he said, Daphne, there's this thing called thoughts, actions, and results. How you think will determine what you do. And whatever you do will create results, outcomes. So if you think that you can drive your car 100 miles on 50 miles worth of gas, then you'll try to do that. And then what'll happen is you'll run out of gas. So if you don't like the results you're getting, you got to change how you think.
What you said is so important. I remember when social media really got hot, like 10, 14 years ago, and people were definitely putting a lot of what I would call private information out there, not realizing this is a public forum and it's out there for years, not just that day that you felt, a certain way and you put this information. Now, a lot of people still do that today, but I think there's a lot of awareness and understanding is that this is a public platform. Understand that it's public knowledge, not private knowledge. So unless you're in the private group and things like that. So the same thing with utilizing these generative AI tools, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's Bard, Claude, and some others that are out there, that you are putting information out there into the public. So yes, with that understanding, are you okay with what you're typing into that application? If you're okay with it, fine. If it's very proprietary, you need to look at those things. And I know you understand about digital hygiene and why that's so important. Help our audience understand some of those guidelines, some of the things that you look for in your world of doing regulation and compliance and risk and things of that nature.
Yeah, so one of the most important guidelines, and I think that or frameworks that we all go to and we're familiar with, is the NIST framework. They have so many different functions and areas that you can go into: cloud, AI, cybersecurity, just so many things that you can actually go and take from that. The same thing as following ISO standards as well. There are many different regulations as well that you can follow, like GDPR, CCPA, that they can give you a little bit of guidance. And I think that there is, when it comes to artificial intelligence, there is a lack of, I believe. So yes, we do have a lot of policies on information security, and we can mention them all, Google them, and you can find them. But I think AI is still very, it's not mature, it's premature. I think that's the word. And that's where we're lacking, and we have to start creating those policies or guidelines to be able to follow them. Like, for example, something that we're doing right now in a lot of different organizations, because of the lack of these policies, is that we are creating groups, AI groups or committees within the organization that are able to assess the AI services or tools that we want to use within the organization. And within that, as you review those products, then you create conditions, like the team creates conditions on like, yes, you can use this tool, we're going to approve this. However, you're not able to place sensitive data, intellectual property. So that is something that we have been building in different organizations just because of the lack of guidelines. And even if you follow regulations, and I know regulations are not guidelines, but there's a lot of good information like GDPR, a lot of good information there, especially when it comes to data or privacy. And those are also good to follow as well. One of that I actually like a lot because they're so advanced, I believe, is EU. They have an AI, they have an AI Act, but they're working on also regulations. And I think that they are advanced, and I do enjoy what they have put in the table for us in regards to AI and best practices is what we call. So I do recommend going to like EU privacy or Googling EU privacy, and you will find a lot of information on that. But right now they need us. They need us to create them.
Absolutely. And we have to be mature about it, because we have gone through the creation of the internet. We've gone through mobile computing, cloud computing, social media. We've got a lot of good experience now. So AI should not be that new. It's a great tool, but we have to know how to utilize it. Just like anything else. If you got a vehicle, guess what? You got to learn how to drive, and then you have responsibilities by getting that driver's license. If I've been so aptly reminded that driving is a privilege. So you have to understand it's a privilege. So these things we're going to get to, I think we'll probably get to them a lot quicker than we have in the past, but just understanding what you are doing in that space. You bring up another good point about you are engaged in a lot of groups, associations, you're gaining knowledge and experience and networking. Help our younger technologists understand what they need to do to begin to grow their particular brand and become even more well-known and to get more exposure for their expertise.
Yes. So I love that area because I was at the, before I actually was one of them who I didn't know where to go or how to start my career. What I suggest, the first thing I suggest is network. Networking is so important. And please, my advice when you go and you start networking, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, to approach executives, to approach professionals who you think are, they're like, oh my God, no, I'm not going to approach the CEO of this. They are people. This is something that I learned from my mentor. It's like, they're people. Just go to them, talk to them, engage in a conversation. So do that, but then also research. And whenever you hear something, if you're interested in cybersecurity and you hear a term, something that you do not understand, research it. Go to Google, read articles about it. And you know what? Now ChatGPT exists. Go to ChatGPT and ask it, what is, a learning machine model? What is this? What is a learning model? What is a GRC? And what is GDPR? Like, you have to go ahead and do this for yourself so you start getting acquainted and you're able to engage in conversations where you're together with these professionals. Also, another advice that I want to give is be confident. I know it's hard sometimes because you feel like if you're a young technologist, you feel like, I don't know much. So how am I going to talk to all these professionals surrounding me? It's okay. Nobody is born knowing. You're not, so just approach them and ask questions, be curious, listen. Like, you have to listen. If you don't listen, that's going to be a huge problem, and it's going to take you a long time to reach your goal. So listening, asking questions. And the last thing I'm going to say is there's nothing better than asking dumb questions, because Once you start asking those questions that you think are dumb, those are the best to weed out, because then you get the response and you're like, oh, okay, got it. So now I know exactly what I need to know. Like you check yourself. You're checking yourself, you're checking your intelligence at that moment, and you'll see after you ask all of those questions, dumb or not, you're going to see a progress in your intelligence, in your intellectuality, in the subject that you're learning, and people are going to gravitate towards you, and then they're going to treat you like an expert as well.
Exactly. You're on par with them because everybody has certain experiences and understanding and intellect and insights that no one else has. And that's why it's so important to share. This is why we're on this platform today, because I love sharing the stories of others. This is how I learn. This is how I get educated. I get like, wow, I didn't even look at it like that. That's interesting. And I know when I was there at the forum that we were at, and we were talking amongst these different, they were not just engineers, they were lawyers, right? So they're big into the regulations and compliance that aren't existing, but they really wanted to frame a story. I want to get your take. What did you learn from that particular forum? What really resonated with you that you'd like to talk to us about?
Oh my God, I remember we had fun in that in that meeting. It was awesome. But my take was that we're still not, I feel like we're not ready to have advanced technology, because we don't even have a regulation on AI. So I feel like there's a lot of work to do, but then you have to start somewhere, and that's what's happening. So I'm glad that we were there with lawyers to understand more of the legal battles that are happening right now, or the issues that are coming on with that intellectual property. For example, those questions that they were asking in the comments about who owns what, the artificial intelligence tool is giving you, like ChatGPT, when it gives you the output, who owns that, And you could argue, well, the company, right? OpenAI. But it's like, no, but they got that data from, the public. So who really owns this work, or who really owns the image that you're creating when you're painting it? And should you have a statement saying, hey, I use ChatGPT or reference ChatGPT for your work? So yeah, that is very that I took that very seriously, because I know that's where we're heading at. And then on top of that, when they were talking about more advanced in the future, as if we have to give rights to AI, in the sense of, and I imagine what they were talking about is more of like, you have now an AI, an artificial intelligence that is far advanced and that is able to have some sort of emotions, or maybe mimic emotions as humans, and they're going to want to be part of society as well, in the sense of having rights. That is wild, Grant. That is wild. I don't know. What do you think about it?
But that's only half of the things, actually, because we're, when we say we're connecting creators with brands, it's a two-way street. So we're helping the creators connect with their clients, and that's what I just described. But we are also helping the brands enter the space. And here it's the, I like to say it's two sides of the same coin. And the way you help one group is not the same way you help the other group, because they've got different problems. So for the brands, the typical problems are, they're super excited, everyone is talking about this thing, and everyone needs to get on board, but it's very overwhelming. You don't know where to start, you don't know who to trust. That's a big one.
So for me, it's like, it was natural to think about how we can use different technology and to converge them to improve the customer experience, but also the performance and the efficiency of the business operation. And so I started thinking about how, I could help companies, and integrating blockchain and merge it with AI and all of these things. So this is naturally that I entered into the metaverse, because the metaverse is literally the next iteration of the internet.
But that's only half of the things, actually, because we're, when we say we're connecting creators with brands, it's a two-way street. So we're helping the creators connect with their clients, and that's what I just described. But we are also helping the brands enter the space. And here it's the, I like to say it's two sides of the same coin. And the way you help one group is not the same way you help the other group, because they've got different problems. So for the brands, the typical problems are they're super excited, everyone is talking about this thing, and everyone needs to get on board, but it's very overwhelming. You don't know where to start, you don't know who to trust. That's a big one.
Of people being more and more aware of how these threat actors are going after people daily, every second. I mean, one thing that people aren't, they might not be familiar with is called phishing emails, right? Where they send you information, try to get you to click on a link where it's an offer or something like that. But 3.4 billion phishing emails are sent daily, right? Think about that. And they're saying for organizations, the average cyber attack is called a data breach is costing $4.5 million to an organization.
Because I'm
I do have, I would say, my opinion on that. And that is just like saying my car has rights, like has emotions. Like it's I'm like, I don't think so.
Wow.
I don't think it's sentient at all. It might in AI, yeah, it can mimic a lot of things. And I had the same conversation. Actually, I commented on someone's post that they put out there, and they were talking about, the same thing. Is it what is sentient? What is intelligent? What is consciousness? And I said, look, when I look in the mirror, I look in my own mirror, see my own reflection, and I'm talking. Is that reflection intelligent? Is it conscious? Is it sentient? Is it alive? It's a mirror. No, it is not. I am the living reality. That is just a reflection of my own intellect. So, generative AI is just a reflection of somewhat of the totality of human intellect. Is it alive? Does it have consciousness? Does it need actual rights? I'm going to say no. It's a tool. It's a machine. I think we're a little bit overboard with that one. That's my opinion.
I agree at 100%. And I think the only way that it will change is if we do reach a way into having this generative AI or sentience feel the same as humans, have consciousness, which I would love to see how that's achieved. Then that is different. And then we'll have to start thinking like, you know what? Yes, my robot now, it's named Linda, and I will have to then have her rights because I love my robot Linda. So yeah, it's hard, and we'll get there when we'll get there. I don't doubt anything anymore. I feel like we can do anything.
We could probably go round and round in that discussion, but to your point, it's still there's certain rights that we already have. Intellectual property, that's a right. You can't go around damaging someone else's a property, right? You damage it. Yeah, there are already laws with that. But then there's ownership. To your point earlier, well, who owns the intellectual property of artificial intelligence? I'm not sure. So that's a different conversation. But to say something is living or something is not, I think we need to come to a hard no on that for me.
That's
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 just my opinion, but we can definitely debate around the legalities and regulations and everything else of how the use of some of these intelligences are, the emotional qualities. But I always say that it is a mimicking of reality, not reality of itself. So we need to really make a hard line on that. But I want to continue on because I want our communities to really engage with the tech. Talk to us about what happens. You're in the world of data privacy, data governance. You see the data that's out there. If you don't have a certain amount of data or data that's not coming from a certain group, does that skew the data or not? And what's your opinion on that?
Yes, 100%. It would make a big impact. I will give you an example. Something that happened using artificial intelligence for court cases. So the judge had, when you want a sentence to do sentencing, they were using AI. And what happened was that the AI was sentencing more people of color, longer terms than the white color. So I started kind of digging. It's like, what's going on? Because a lot of people were arguing, well, there's bias, of course, and that has to be with the engineers, and maybe we have to have more diversity, which is 100% true. We have to have diversity in the engineering room. However, I thought, there has to be something more than that. And I had spoken to one of a machine learning engineer, very, very smart. And I asked him, hey, when you're creating these models, what is the test what testing data do you use? And he's like, well, that case, the court case, they use testing data from the 70s from Alabama. Of course, it's going to be bias. Of course, it's going to be biased. So, there was a lot of racism. So, of course, the records were more of Black males in jail, than white males. So that's why when they had acquired that testing data, they didn't QA it. They just used it, and they were excited about creating this tool, and that's what happened. So I believe that we have to put some QA controls in place for when we are creating these models and we have testing data, and there has to be someone assigned for that, so human oversight, in order for us to be able to have to lower our biases and be able to have these tools function more properly. In my opinion, in regards to that court case, I don't think even court should be using that right now yet. I think we need to still work on it and making sure that we have rich data, which when you were talking about data and how it's skewed, like, you have to also think that data is it's easy to get, but not for us, for companies, because if you go to Google, they're able to get your data. You're adding it to the Google search, right? If you go to ChatGPT, you're entering a lot of data. So it's easier for them. But in order for them to get rich data, like personal information, PII kind of thing, then it's a little bit more complicated because we have regulations. We have the GDPR. You have to abide by the CCPA or the Virginia. There's also a Virginia privacy law. So you have to abide by them, HIPAA as well, right? So it makes it a little bit difficult for what they can obtain. And that's why a lot of these tools are still not as mature. But what I read in OpenAI that I think what they're doing now is that they're doing business with a lot of organizations, and they exchange services. It's like, we'll do this service. In return, you will share your data. Mm-hmm. So that now is going to be fed into these AI models, and that's going to be even more, like, these tools are going to be even more functional.
Yeah, no, then that's true. And there's certain things around, there's bad data and good data. That's what I don't think a lot of people realize. There's a lot of bad data. I mean, it's just incomplete, not factual. It's not true. The machines don't know that. They just get a lot of data because it's predictive analytics and it's ones and zeros. There's no real thought behind if it's reality or not at this point. And we've got a lot of work to do in that respect. Now, there's a lot of good data out there. That's why you can tell right now, I think AI for simple searches and whatnot will give you usually 80 to 90% accuracy of what it is. Still 10 to 20% is not accurate. And if you're doing it for medical research, that's big. Or you're doing it for a law research, well, 20% is not right. Well, that's huge. Like you were just saying, that could have, and if you're using that as the quote unquote, the benchmark of how we're going to do business or hand down sentences or things of that nature, that's something to seriously consider. So always step back and understand that the data or the output that comes back is under consideration. It's not something that's in stone. Look at it, verify it, massage it. Maybe it's a template of knowledge, not knowledge of itself. It's just a regurgitation. Now, that's what I'm saying. We're moving, and we're still in that finite world of moving from information technology to intelligent technology. And that's a transition. And we still have a lot of information that was what you would call, or data that was in that information age. That's just not good. But as it moves into the intelligent technology age, it'll get better and better and better.
Follow the Brand TV broadcast host, Grant McGaw, as he visits with top executives and entrepreneurs to find out their secrets of success with their personal brand. Follow the Brand TV broadcast host as he focuses on brand development to build better relationships, bring value to your business, relationships, and career. You will enjoy listening to each episode that is tailored to speak to you directly. If you're looking for this type of clarity in terms of building your brand, you have tuned into the right station. Each episode will help you to shape a conversation in the 5-star BDM network of 20,000 professionals and become a springboard for your corporate engagement and business opportunities. Each guest will frame their story in the areas of personal branding, business development, career development, financial empowerment, and technology innovation. Grant McGaw explains why he is the CEO and owner of his own professional career. Grant is an accomplished business leader and entrepreneur who wants to give back to individuals to grow their personal brand strategy. Tune in as he weaves his story about new possibilities, while to you exceed expectations. If you love storytelling, this show will make for fun.
Yes, and I absolutely agree. And I see it also in the part of, for example, the medical industry. When you look at how they use AI for certain functions, I feel like it's still not completely ready, because if you think about the data that they acquire, health industries, to be able to use AI for like diagnosing certain autoimmune disorders or diseases, let's just say, the data that they get is the data from already sick patients. And in order for you to have good data, you need to have data also of healthy patients. And that's how you get results. But only having sick patients, if you go in for a checkup and you're using an AI tool that, you know, someone had created, it's probably going to tell you have a cough, and it's going to tell you, oh yeah, you have 3 days to to live. And you're like, wait, what's going on? It's because it's not comparing it, and it's not rich enough with that data also of healthy people to be able to make a good determination. You just probably have a cough, that's it. So there's a lot to work on.
Yeah, no, you complete data sets. That's so important. We're getting there. That's what cloud computing has allowed us to do, to really merge a lot of different large, that's what they call it, large language models, a lot of big data together to get to what we call generative AI. And then in the future, it'll be artificial general intelligence. And that's what we're getting. But what does that mean, general intelligence? You have to understand it. That's like, all right, you have a 5-year intelligence of a 5-year-old from a computer standpoint. So it's not so mature, and that's what we're talking about, the maturity level. We're going to get there, but understand where we are right now and how to utilize these tools and everything else. We got to just one more question we want to get to as we close. And that question is really for you. As you look back now and where you're at and where you were at before you started this journey into cybersecurity, technology, deep thinking, and all of these things that you're doing now, if you could go back and talk to yourself, that 19-year-old person, and advise them about the journey they're about to embark on, what would you say?
I would just say, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid, because you are as smart as you can be. And because I remember a lot of my fears were, I'm not as smart. I'm a woman, I'm a woman of color. Nobody's going to care what I have to say or what I have to bring to the table. And that is complete ignorance as being a young person, because it's not true. There is a lot of people that wanted to hear what I had to say, but no one is, they cannot guess what you're thinking. No one can guess anything about you. You have to show it to the world. You have to really be confident in yourself and say, hey, I am going to do this. I don't know anything right now, but I know I'm going to make it. So I would say that to myself. And I will also tell myself, dare to do even the impossible. If you don't know how to code and you look at all of those different programming language, and you're like, I'm going crazy, I don't think I can do this. Do it. Go take a course, get together with a friend, go to tutoring, just do it. And you'll see. One thing that I did when I was, before I got into cybersecurity, is that I dared myself to go to a CTF. So it's the Capture the Flag. And I remember I was like, before I even get into cybersecurity, I want to try this. And I was actually working, and I had gotten out of work, and there was like a local CTF event. I saw it on Eventbrite. And so I went in, I took my laptop, and there was all these people, they were hacking, excited, a bunch of cables. I'm like, oh my God, this is okay. I'm nervous now, intimidated. And I sat down, and I remember the first prompt to get into and get your flag. It was just to get into, you were on the terminal, and you just have to go and go into your desktop and just get a file that was created there, and there was your flag. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to navigate the command line. And I was like, oh my God, this is so difficult. And I told myself, you know what? No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. So I will research on Google. And that first one that I got, when I did it, I felt accomplished. I was like, oh my God, I'm a hacker. Of course not. I was like, I'm a hacker. I made it. I'm so good. And it was so funny. And then I remember it was like 15. The capture the flag was 15 different questions to get to the end. I only did 3, but those first 3, I was never able to get past that. With no experience, I went home like a winner. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get in this because I'm a hacker. Everybody, I told my mom, my brothers, and it was hilarious. But that's when I started believing in myself and saying, you know what, I do have to dare. If we don't dare to do it, then you're gonna be scared your whole life. And people around you do not know. You know, they don't know. They cannot guess how you feel. You have to express it. Hey, Grant, I need you to help me with this, or do you think you can give me a little bit of overview of that? Trust me, a lot of people are more good than bad, and they will help you. They will help you. Don't be afraid.
Oh man, I couldn't have said that better. That was a great story. See how you got that confidence and you believe in yourself. Even before you took the classes and the courses, you just said, let me just make sure I have what it takes to get to that next level. And I'll take that first flag, boy. Man, look at you now, right? Look at you now. I mean, you actually get your GPA. Tell the audience what your GPA was.
Oh, my GPA at that time was a 3.8. I'm sorry, 3.8.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's pretty high.
Yeah.
I mean, she actually knew what she was doing. That's pretty high. That's pretty good. I really appreciate you being on the show. This has been wonderful. Let the audience know how to contact you on LinkedIn.
Yes, so you can go to LinkedIn and you can find me, Felicita Sandoval. And you can also find me on Instagram, the AI researcher as well. So you can find me there. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to DM me in LinkedIn. I am more than glad to go ahead and answer back and give you any advice that I can. I'm always available, even if you see that I don't answer right away, but I will always make sure to go back and help anyone that needs any assistance or if you need somebody to cheer you up, I'm here.
Well, I'm glad you are here. And I advise everybody in your audience, they can see all the episodes of Follow the Brand. That'll be at 5-star. That's the number 5-star BDM, B for brand, D for development, and for masters.com. This has been wonderful. Enjoy your 2024. Thank you for being on the show.
Passion has been around helping communities of color and historically underrepresented and underserved communities, minority, rural, veterans, persons who are differently able, in the intersection of education, innovation, technology, industry, and let's throw some entrepreneurship in there just for fun. See more around innovation, incubators, accelerators. I love the idea of going from innovation to commercialization.
Learning various different forms of business and how business operate, because I didn't get into that till much further down in my career, and I think that would have been very essential early on. Because now it's not about the various different widgets or the bells and whistles. It's about developing creative ways that you can use technology to solve business problems, right? It's about inhibiting, not inhibiting the business, but enabling the business on how to move forward. Everything's about you see companies out there on who can be the first one to get something to the street, right? Speed the market. And it's the same thing in the world right now with anybody that you work with. Everybody who's offering a solution It's all about who gets out there prior to the competitor, who has the most creative, innovative solution, and whatever's going to do the best to increase revenue and drive the company forward.
And passionate trainer in Microsoft 365, security, Azure AI, and deep learning. First of all, I find great joy in incorporating these cutting-edge technologies into my training sessions. My goal is to make the learning experience practical, engaging, and relevant for my clients, ensuring that they grasp the concepts not only in theoretical way, but also in the hands-on way. That is, I want to make them gain more hands-on experience. I try to explain the real-world scenarios. So what I do is I make them do a lot of hands-on labs. I take them to the real-time scenarios. I make them work on real-world use cases. And I try to give them capstone projects. I may try to make them do the capstone projects also. So in this way, what I try to incorporate them is the real-time scenario skills. Apart from that, I make them involved in interactive discussions. And I advise them to stay updated, read more Microsoft blogs, not only Microsoft blogs, the various other cloud service provider blogs, so that they can be more updated.
The Black Business Expo's mission is to raise funds for high school seniors going to college or K-12 entrepreneurs. This expo is a fundraiser for students. Please, you may go to www.blackbusinessexpousa.com to donate to the scholarship fund or use the Cash App at $BBXUSA. Our goal is to give laptops and up to $5,000 to 10 students. Students can register online at www.blackbusinessexpousa.com. Every dollar counts. Please donate to the Black Business Expo USA Scholarship Fund. Hey everyone, it's Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM and host of the award-winning Follow the Brand podcast and TV series, where I help you to build a 5-star brand that people will follow. My genius is personal brand development through intelligent communication and helping you achieve your business and career goals. I am a requested speaker on digital technology and brand development issues. I want to work with you to increase the value of your current opportunities while attracting new ones. Every one of you is unique, and we all share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. As a super connector, I work with you as an executive coach to guide you along the complicated business and career development road, providing the enhancement tools and information you need to succeed. Together, I will help you succeed in today's challenging business climate. I will evaluate and measure your progress. Best of all, I am right alongside you every step of the way. Build the brand called you. Genius.